All right. Hello, everybody. So I got Bristol in tonight, and we are going to talk about knives. So I thought about leaving this one for a little bit later because it's not terribly funny or exciting. But then I also thought this is probably one of the most important ones as far as some of the things I've seen in the last just year or so, actually. So one of the things I've noticed is going places, having things happen, and how many people don't have a knife on them. And you might think, oh, well, my horse ties. I don't need to worry about it. They don't pull. I don't need to worry about it. It's never been my own that I've had to cut loose, I guess. So that's kind of my point is there's people there that have animals that might pull, you never know what's going to happen, and they don't have a knife on them. So I wanted to stress, stop it. She was really afraid of this camera at first, but now she realizes that I'm here, and since I distribute treats, she's all about it, I guess. So anyway, I had a few examples, and I had a couple of quick stories. I was two different places this last year. Once riding by myself and ran into a couple of ladies who had two nice horses. And I stopped over at their trailer to say, hey, I'm going to go this way on the trail. Which way are you going? Just so that we kind of knew where we were. Not that we had to ride together or anything. And while I was standing there, one of the horses tied to the trailer, there were two horses tied to the same side of the trailer. One started pulling, and it didn't just stop. If you've ever seen one that just pulls, falls down, gets up, pulls, falls down, gets up. And she had a quick release knot, which we're going to talk about in another episode. And she got in between the two horses trying to pull the rope on that quick release. And because there was tension on it, and who knows, there was so much pull on it already. Even if the horse wasn't pulling on it, we couldn't get it off the trailer even after we got the horse loose. So I stood there for a second. This was my second horse that summer needed to be cut down because it got tangled up. And pull my knife out. They were running around looking for a knife, and I said, I have a knife. Do you want me to cut the rope? And they were like, well, yeah. They looked at me, and I said, well, here, hold my mule. And honestly, with a little bit of pressure on one of those nylon ropes, especially, it takes nothing to cut them. And so even if you don't have the sharpest knife in the world, this is the little pocket knife that I carry. It's just a cute little guy, and it's got a nice little hook, so you can actually put it on your pants if you want, if you think it's going to fall out of your pocket. I did have it pretty sharp. I didn't really mean to have it that sharp, but I was practicing with a new sharpening stone I bought, and yeah, so it's pretty good. So this is just a little buck knife, really cute little knife, plenty sharp. Don't have to put much pressure on there when you're trying to cut one down, and it does happen. Nice little knife. I don't know the size of that compared to my hand. Not a big knife, but it is definitely a sharp little knife. So, and it's thin. So this is the one I tend to wear in my pocket all the time. I've lost as many knives as I've probably ever owned, but sometimes just a cheap little knife that you stick in your pocket is totally fine. So this I would not carry, but it's a nice knife as well. It goes on a belt if you wanted. That's what, some people, or put it on your saddle, I suppose. Okay, that's a decent knife. Maybe more of a little bit bulkier for a guy. This is also a buck knife. Goes in a sheath so they can wear it on your belt. Doesn't have to be in your pocket. After seeing that picture that Nikki sent of the guy who came off, had a wreck, and looks like he tried to gut himself with his knife, it does make me a little concerned that, okay, I don't want too big of a blade, just something enough to cut a rope. That's about it. The other nice things to have, and I have these in every pocket everywhere, little bitty Swiss knife. I don't know, that might not cut a big major rope, but if there's enough tension on it, it probably would cut it. And a little bit bigger Swiss Army knife. And the beautiful part of this is that after you have a catastrophe and have to cut your mule down, there's a corkscrew. So unless you have really good friends like I have, Patty, and they bring the drinks knowing you're going to need a little something to calm your nerves after an incident. So just a couple of examples. But seriously, in a trailer wreck, I followed a trailer that was in a wreck one time. It went down on its driver's side. It was a slant load, so the horses were actually tied down to the ground at that point trying to get up. That was a disaster. And the other horse that I was going to talk about, I cut down, got his leg tangled in the rope while tied to a high line. And I won't go into the details of that, but they were prepared for that horse to do that. Apparently it tangles itself frequently, but nobody had a knife, not the owners. And I was there not even with a mule and had a knife in my pocket. And I walked up there and it seemed like minutes had gone by and nobody had a knife. Actually, maybe there was one person there with a knife. I just hadn't seen them get it out yet. So when I saw nobody had a knife, walked up and I was like, do you want me to cut the rope? And they said, oh, you know, that horse has done that so many times, which made me wonder a little about why you wouldn't have a knife if you have a horse that tends to get tangled or tied a little shorter or tied a little different. But anyway, we'll talk about those things on another day. But really, I don't feel safe leaving the driveway with her in the back or hauling anything unless I have my knife in my pocket. Or if you don't like it in your pocket and you're afraid if you fall on it, you're going to get injured, then put it on your saddle. Heck, you might just want to open some cheese and eat cheese. I mean, something. It's always handy. It's always handy. But if you've got it in an emergency, 9 times out of 10, you're going to get out of trouble. Thanks. Bye.